Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, it's Bad Weather Fans, episode number 113. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz, and the Brooklyn Nets collapsed versus the Boston Celtics 114-107. Nets had a 17-point lead at one point. Boston comes back, gets the win. Kevin Durant was maybe the worst I've ever seen him. Boston's defense was incredible. He did miss a lot of shots, but their defense was great. He turned the ball over. It was bad. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Nets down 2-0. That's great. I totally ignored the Mets game tonight. I said they were down 4-0 and Bassett was pitching. So, I mean, whatever. That was a boring game. It's really hard to switch from NBA playoff basketball back to like April baseball. It's like the vibes are so completely different. But,
Right.
Another Nets loss. So I'm smiling, not at you because, I like you, but I'm laughing. And it's still early in the series. It's still 2-0. You know what they say, Mike, your favorite saying that the series doesn't start until you lose an away game.
Yeah, I've
lose
heard
a home
that.
game. It doesn't make any sense. I'm joking, obviously, but whatever. Go ahead. The floor is yours. What's your thoughts on the first two games?
No, I
of the
mean,
Nets?
you
want to hear you.
I know you're joking when you say that. I mean, the Nets.
Yeah, of course.
It's the first team to 4, and that's what matters. Boston got 2 to get there, and it was just a bad performance all around. I thought when the Nets got up 17, and then Boston was able to get it down to 9, and eventually got to 10 at the half. Charles Barkley said the same thing I was thinking. I was like, they had a chance to put their foot down and get this thing up between 17 and 20 points, and they were unable to do it. And just from there, in back of my mind, I was like, the Celtics are going to find a way to make this interesting. They have a great home court, as you know, as one of their fans. And it was just so loud in there, and you just felt something was going to change. I did not think – I got a little hopeful when the Nets pushed it back up to 7, and then they started the fourth quarter. They were missing shots left and right, but they were up 6. There was a timeout. It turned into 5 because they reviewed a play. Curry's foot was on the line. It was a 2-pointer, made it a 5-point game. I thought we were in for a game, right? I didn't think that Durant, he had a bad performance, but he just went all-time bad, and Kyrie was irrelevant, and the Nets could not make anything in that fourth quarter. And eventually, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum got hot. Credit the Celtics defense. They were tremendous. The Nets showed no heart, no ability down the stretch to do anything. Bruce Brown was great. Goran Dragic had a very good first half. He was awesome. I know you said there was a bad idea for the Nets to sign him. They don't need more point guards. I hope this at least changed your mind a little bit about having Goran Dragic on the team. But it was just a pitiful performance from the Nets in the fourth quarter. And you have to hold your stars accountable. They were terrible. They were brutal. They could do nothing down the stretch. Durant missed shots. Tatum's defense was great. And they were outclassed. They were outplayed. And they were definitely outcoached. Nash should have called a timeout when it was getting down to 4, getting down to 3, getting down to 2, getting down to 1. And then they could just never make a play to change that. And no timeout from Steve Nash. It was a disaster. And then the Celtics took the lead. Momentum changed. And the Nets deserved that loss. They were brutal. 2 competitive games, 2 games they could have won both, but they didn't. And now they have to go to Brooklyn and get a win. I know Net fans right now are extremely frustrated, as they should be, but this idea that the series is over, then don't watch Saturday. Don't watch Saturday if it's over, okay? How many times have we seen series switch? And it feels like it's an impossible thing, and I'd be very surprised if it did happen. But this idea the Nets can't come back to Brooklyn and get a win is insane to me. It's at least it's
the finals last year. Look at the finals last year. The Suns went up 2-0, and everybody thought it was over.
Cavs won the title. They were down 2. I mean, it's
down 3-1. Yeah,
it's possible to come back. But yeah, Durant was bad, and the Celtics defense was great. I mean, they had a great game plan, and It's frustrating too when you see like the Nets assistant coach from last year out coaching the Nets this year is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, he's an ex-Knick also. So there you go. That's another reason why. But for he had a 10-day contract, not really next Knick, but once a Knick, always a Knick. But they had Durant's number, man. I've never seen anything like that with Durant. They had, it was like kind of like the Jordan rules, with the Pistons back in the day, the Bad Boys Pistons. It looked like everywhere he went, there was a guy, and they were knocking him on his ass, and it was impressive, man. I don't want to hear anything about fatigue. I don't want it. Nets Daily's always tweeting out like about fatigue. These guys are give me a break. They're not fatigued. They played like 80 games total together the whole season. The two guys, they're fine. You know what I mean? They're just getting beat, and it's just the bottom line. And it's great to see from me. It's sad to see from you, and that's it. And you call a spade a spade. I mean, it's just the Celtics. They took the punch in the mouth in the first half, like you said, and at the halftime, everybody said the same thing. The Nets should be up over about 20 points right now. How are they only? How was it only? What was it? 10 at halftime?
65-55, and the Nets finished with 107 points. Celtic defense ramped up there in the second half. It was a sight to see. They were great. Al Horford was hitting shots, and the Nets just couldn't compete with them in the fourth quarter. They were outclassed. Steve Nash had a quote in the post game that was just unbearable to see. Something about like just trying to figure it out, and this is a new team, and it's like, I mean, it just sucks. And it's
too late to figure it out.
Too late.
It's too late to figure it out.
It's too late.
The arrogance all season, man. The arrogance all season that they can turn it on, and you included. You excused it. You're like, whatever happens, just get it together. You didn't really excuse it. You're like, I don't care what happens. Just show up in playoff time. You want to do whatever you do. Just you better show up playoff time. Is basically what you were saying all year. A lot of fans were excusing it. Like, you know what? Whatever. They're good enough. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Who cares? And now look at you. Now you're down 0-2, and it might be over soon. That sucks.
Yeah,
for you.
I think this this regular season was a weird one, and people saying
it was
try in the regular season. I think it's a little out of context, not fair, because the Nets were the 1 seed when Kevin Durant gets hurt. He goes
and
down.
The Kyrie situation.
Then Kyrie's not allowed to play. You want to have an argument about that. Kyrie should get vaccinated and should do what's right for his team. He still wasn't there, and then James Harden said, "I'm out of here." So it wasn't as if the Nets exactly tanked the regular season. They had a lot of things that went against their way, where I would say last year you could make more of an argument with that than this year. The problem with this season is they got their 4th roster together late in the year, and they're still trying to figure it out. And the main player they got in that trade was Ben Simmons, and he's not there. If Durant's going to play like that, they're not going to win basketball games. It's that simple. And he's got to be better than, he got to the line 20 times, but it was just, if he's going to shoot 4 for 18 or whatever the hell it is, they're not going to win games, and they were bad, and it's over, and move on. Game 1 was a gut punch. This one doesn't seem as brutal because of how bad that one was, but yeah, it's 2-0 Boston. And if you're a Celtic fan or if you're a Knicks fan that hates the Nets, I mean, enjoy it. I mean, enjoy it, enjoy the moment, gloat about it. Right. Go on Twitter, react, make fun of Net fans, wear Celtic jerseys, do everything that you want to do.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, do it all. And I kind of do want to talk about that, because I think it's really
that's a good angle. Yeah, it's a good topic.
And I know Greg Giannotti, the morning show on the Fan, has been wearing a Celtic thing, and I say this because I think it's really important to hear this, that if you are so moved to like wear a Celtic jersey, or you're so moved to be invested in the Boston Celtics, right? Now, listen, we're all New Yorkers here listening. And if you're a Net fan or a Knicks fan, you don't like Boston sports. That's something I don't need to tell you, right? You do not like if you're a Met fan or Yankee fan, you're not into the Red Sox. If you're a Jets fan, you're not really into the Patriots.
Philly
is something
too.
This is something I don't need to remind people of. So the thought that Greg or anybody, if you guys are moved, right? And I would be moved too, but if you're moved to root for the Celtics, it shows just how impactful the Nets are in New York. There's no other reason. Like, you don't get moved that much. And it doesn't matter, because tonight sucked, and Knicks fans should have their, and Celtic fans should have their moment. But don't look at that as a diss. It's the biggest compliment we can get, and just embrace it. And who gives a fuck if the New York media doesn't like the Nets? Like, that's not our fucking I'm in a bad mood from the net loss. I'm seeing all these New Yorkers wearing Celtic gear. It's like, fuck it all, man. Like, let's go out, get a win, figure this shit out, and don't take it as a don't be upset about it. Embrace it. Embrace the evilness of it, and embrace the fact that Knicks fans are getting joy out of the Nets losing, and just understand that. And I bring it all together because this is a Net and Knicks podcast, and I have to tie that all together for our fans and just understand that as much as bullshit as this game was, there is that.
Well, Nets fans can't be like, oh, well, they don't matter. The Nets don't matter. The old saying that everybody used to say, the Nets don't matter, because they used to not matter, but now they do matter. And if I'm saying, put out a tweet as harmless as last week, you saw it at Knicks Central, where I said, Knicks fans, are we rooting for the Cavs as a family tonight, during before the play-in tournament? And it blew up, man. People are calling me all sorts of names, man. Go get a family, people said, things like that. Like, what is wrong? Like, what did I say that was so bad? All I'm saying is that I'm rooting against you. Isn't this what you wanted? You wanted to be relevant. This is what you wanted, and you have it. And now you're mad at somebody for saying that they don't like you. I'm rooting for the Celtics because I don't like you the most. I don't like the Nets the most. As a Knicks fan, as a diehard Knicks fan, 37-year-old diehard Knicks fan, I hate the Nets more than any other team in the NBA right now. Isn't this what you wanted?
Just think about the fact that if you were in Boston right now, you'd be going into TD Garden and high-fiving somebody that loves Tom Brady. You'd go in there and be like, Marty, you're my guy. And then you'd be in there and you'd be like, oh, let's talk about those Brady games. Like, you would be in there, Alex, and you would be high-fiving Tom Brady fans.
We'd both be Mo Lewis fans, but for different reasons. You know what I mean? I love Mo Lewis just for being a great jet, not for knocking out Drew Bledsoe. But me and Marty O'Shea, we'd be in the bar and be slapping five and trashing the Nets, and we'd be ready to go. And that's it. I'd be happy. I just don't understand, Nets fans who are mad at Knicks fans for rooting for the Celtics, and Knicks fans who don't get it, and why a Knicks fan would root for the Celtics in the series. That just boggles my mind too. Like, I'm never rooting for Boston. Well, how can you root for the Nets, man? The Nets are more relevant. The hate is more relevant for the Nets now than it is for the Celtics. It's not like I'm sitting here rooting for Pierce and Garnett, and Rondo and those boys. It's not like I'm doing that. I don't know how I would be able to do. I just wouldn't watch. But Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, these guys haven't done anything to me. As a Knicks fan, what have they done? There's nothing to hate about these guys. Yeah, it's a uniform, sure, but what are we doing here?
Nets could have used RJ Barrett. I guess he's the only one that could. The last time the Celtics lost, I think, is lost a game. Yeah, it's annoying. It's
or Evan Fournier.
It's hard to watch. And it gets your blood to boil. It gets your blood to boil, and the Nets were bad. I mean, they tonight were just, and I feel like my brain's out of sync, but they were.
I feel like the crowd was a little off Kyrie than they were game one. Game one, it was wild. It was crazy with the flipping him the bird and telling people
Kyrie,
to suck his, whatever, and I don't know.
At least with Kyrie, I respect the fact that he was terrible and he didn't he was into it emotionally in that game one, but he was playing basically like Michael Jordan in a fourth quarter, just the way he was moving around.
He was insane. Yeah.
And this game he clearly was off. Something wasn't there for them in the fourth.
Maybe the fasting is getting to him in this game. Maybe, they saw the assistant coach pointed to the watch. He's like, you can eat, and he got a banana. And, it's just, maybe there's something there, man. I mean, Hakeem used to do it, and but you can't, judge different people's bodies and how they react to that. I think I respect what he's doing. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, maybe it's affecting him. Maybe it affected him today. I don't know.
It's an impossible one to get in his head. Like you say, okay, Hakeem Olajuwon won 2 championships doing it.
Yeah.
So,
no, I know.
He was okay.
I know. Yeah, he was pretty good.
Olajuwon, but I'm just saying he was fine. I mean, one of them, I can't remember. They played the Magic one year.
And yeah, thanks.
Who was the other? I can never remember the other year.
I just remember there was like a day game or something. One time, it probably wasn't against the Knicks. It was a day game during the time he's fasting for Ramadan, and he it was a big deal because it was a day game. He couldn't even eat. Not like Kyrie was able to get some food, and as the game started, so he's able to have something in his system. That's tough, man. It's tough. As Jews, we Yom Kippur, we fast, and I can't imagine playing a full court basketball game in the middle of that day. I want to just lay down and go to sleep and watch a movie. You know what I mean? It's just so it's just that's tough, man. So props to him for doing what he believes and trying to play through it and showing up for his team. It's just it's. I think Boston kind of got over the crazy booing in game 1, and game 2 was kind of just normal booing him when he had the ball, and that's fine. I'm sure you can respect that, and as long as it doesn't cross the line, as long as the fans don't cross the line. But if they're calling Kyrie, a bitch or the P word, things like that. To me, that's fan taunting, and Kyrie needs to be better than that. If they're crossing the line past that to obvious, slurs or things like that, then he has every right to turn around and even punch the guy in the face.
I know Boston has a reputation for saying nasty things. I'm sure there's a gambit of everything you could imagine, from the worst to just good old fashioned heckling. I'm sure it's everywhere in between. If I had to take an educated guess, I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to people, I guess. I personally don't really care. Like I'm more upset that they suck. I think any true Net fan would like get into the Kyrie flipping the bird. Was it right? Was it wrong? It's like, I don't care. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that. I just want to win these games. I want to
You'll
win.
care if he gets suspended. That's what I was trying to say to you after game 1.
I don't think that's I don't think that's worthy of a suspension.
No, not right away. But if you kept doing it, every game, the $50,000 suspension was like it's Adam Silver saying, Kyrie, chill out.
I don't think Kyrie Irving, and he did nothing today. I would have been stunned if Kyrie Irving every game was coming out, putting up his middle finger. I mean, he came out today and he was. I mean, come on. You remember? Can
you imagine though?
There's a lot of pent up stuff for him last year. Remember, someone threw a bottle at his head last year when he was leaving the court at game 4. So I'm sure all of this, of course, what happened with them and him not re-signing there. So I'm, as much as you're enjoying this, I can guarantee you Celtic fans are enjoying it that much more as they're up 2-0 in the series as it shifts to Brooklyn. And now the big story really will become this Ben Simmons thing. Does he come back? When is he? It sounds like it's game 4, maybe game 3. And I saw people before saying like, and this is why I was so for him coming in. Oh, don't ruin the chemistry. We don't want to see what happens with the chemistry. They're fucking down 0-2. Bring him back. And I saw someone like the rush him back. Let's see what happens. See if it lights a spark for this team. The funny thing is, it just takes one game to shift all brain power. 1 win Nets. Go out, get game 3 in Brooklyn, get that victory, and it just shifts everything that we feel, all the negativity, all the disappointment. Get that 1 win and it all shifts. It's just how it works to get that one damn victory. Also, I do not want to go to game 4. I'm going to game 4. I do not want to. I do not want to see a sweep.
Oh man, that would be tough. That would be tough to see in person. Ben Simmons shows up for his 1 game, and then Robert Williams comes back too, and oh man, that'd be great. But Ben Simmons, for you right now, Ben Simmons isn't saving you. I'll just say that. But he can help, but he's not saving you because the guy hasn't played in a year. And the last time he played, he was a choke artist in the playoffs, and his coach criticized him, and he cried like a baby and ran away from the team. So it's just, this is the guy that you can't rely on. You can hope he comes after a year of not playing and gives you 10, 15 minutes to play some defense. Then that's what you can hope for, but don't expect Ben Simmons to show up game 4. You know what I mean? All-star. Don't expect that.
I'm just hoping
next year you can expect that next year, sure. But
a spark that helps them and gives them something.
Right.
Just something to jumpstart this team.
Excitement.
Because that fourth quarter was lifeless and depressing and no offensive rhythm, no movement. The Celtics did anything they wanted. I mean, it was a joke. I mean, it was extremely difficult to watch. And that's
by 1,000 paper cuts.
And that's why
by 1,000 paper cuts.
And that's why the game before in game 1 was the exact opposite. And it's like when you blow those games, you just know you lose these spots, and it's frustrating. It's awful. But I'm still like, yeah, they're lifeless. Yeah, they've shown no heart. But things can change. And that's, as a fan, this is not me being like overly optimistic. I'm saying this is all you have left to think, right? This is not, I believe they'll get it together. They're coming back to Brooklyn. But what else am I going to go with? I'm going to go with the fact that Kevin Durant's going to be better in game 3. That Kyrie Irving's going to be better at home, and that he's available at home. That Ben Simmons, I have to trick my own head. This is what we do as fans. We take information, we get irrational, and we try to believe in it, and we do whatever we can to feel good about it.
Now, do you expect big crowds game 3 and 4 or do you think Celtic fans will be infesting the Barclays or the Clays?
I mean, I think the loss hurts. You know,
Yeah.
I do expect. I mean, a decent crowd,
rowdy crowd.
The average ticket was
no, I haven't seen
$500. I mean, it was a hot ticket. I don't know now if net fans might sell it and be like, oh, a Boston fan. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the secondary markets work. I don't know what kind
it's
of
the first round. So Celtic fans probably aren't traveling so much for a first round, but there's a lot of Celtic fans in New York City, as you know, like they're here, so they're going to show up for that.
And it's an easy trip. I mean, it's not like they're going up and playing the Bucks or they're going and they're playing, you know,
Philly,
Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah. Philly's further for them. Yeah,
I mean, this is a doable trip.
Yeah,
a little further than the Knicks, but it's doable.
Just a little.
Which could be in 2 hours of traffic, to be fair.
Yeah. Can I bring up a quick Knicks point? I wanted to see what you thought about this.
Yes, Jalen Brunson. Yes.
No, not that.
Okay.
Forget about that. Yeah, that's just that we don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Brunson. The Mavs probably keep him. This is just an irrelevant conversation that we always get into, these irrelevant debates. So anyway, in my opinion, Julius Randle at the Mavericks game, and also why Wes and Allen Houston are at the Mavericks game. I know they weren't sitting together, but that is bizarre, man. That made me feel like Julius Randle is going to be back. But then when I first saw that, but then I saw they weren't sitting together, so I wasn't sure. But then it was weird. Like, why are Wes and Allen Houston at the game? Are people like they're scouting? What are they scouting? These are NBA players. You turn on the freaking TV, turn on League Pass, and you can watch every game in the entire season. Like, what are you scouting? This is not a high school or college team, So I don't really understand that. What was your thoughts about that? I'm outsider perspective.
I don't know. It is kind of strange that they're there at the game. I mean, Randall sitting there watching. I mean, maybe I have no. I want to give you an opinion, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just you could come up with there's got to be some sort of connection with a former. I don't know.
He's from Dallas. He's from Dallas, but he lives in New York City. I mean, his family's here. I mean, I don't know where his family is, or he's a millionaire. He can fly everywhere wherever he wants. But it's not like he lives in Dallas. He lives here. He's from Dallas. I'm sure his family there, but it's not like, oh, hey, I was down the block. I'm living.
I don't know.
It's just,
it
was bizarre.
I have no answer. I usually like to give an opinion on something, but why Julius Randle's there? Maybe he got a good deal online. It was like he
was sitting at like the score table, like those seats. The seats where the executive sits on the floor. You know what I mean? That was like weird. It was strange. And Wes and Allen Houston there. I just don't understand. Like, what are we doing? And maybe that's what everybody's connecting, the Jalen Brunson connection. Oh, they're going to sign and trade Randle for Brunson and this and that. Okay. I just need to see that before I'm going to say that's going to happen. I can't get excited about these random point guards, these random players that I can get excited about, dreams about Donovan Mitchell or Dame Lillard or Zion. That I can get excited about and dream about, but I'm not dreaming about Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? If that happens, it happens. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm not going to connect the dots. Can you believe this and this? Right. Why would he leave Luka? Why would he leave Luka? Why would Cuban let him go? It's just all these weird questions. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I remember we had the Fred VanVleet conversation, and I was like, I thought it'd be a good idea for the Knicks. You were not into it
at that point. If it was this year, I would say, yeah, go get him. If it was a free agent now, at that point, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that. Yeah,
I was say, in my opinion, I had the foresight to see that this would have worked. So you did not. I did. No, I didn't. I had the foresight.
Well, I didn't think they would bring Elfrid Payton back for a second season. I didn't think that either. You know what I'm saying? I thought they would have 1 year of Elfrid and then go in the draft or go somewhere or go elsewhere and get a point guard. Instead, they were like, yeah, we're not going to do anything. We're going to sign Alec Burks and bring back Elfrid. I know we got the 4 seed and everything, but imagine if they had a real point guard last year. What would have happened?
I think the Celtics are a real. I think you can look at the Celtics and feel good if you're a fan base, Knicks or any team, that this team in Boston basically didn't bring. I mean, remember after the Nets beat the Celtics last year, Stevens was gone and that all happened. And everybody was like, the Celtics are done. Boston had legit internal growth. They got rid of Fournier. They got rid of Kemba. I'm trying not to laugh, but like Marcus Smart.
And it's funny. Yeah.
Marcus Smart got better. Tatum took a jump. Brown took a jump. They've got
Williams
great
guys.
role players.
Yeah.
They brought in Al Horford, and you can just see that this is a team that, if you remember the beginning of the season, there were Nick and Celtic fans, they were going at it who had the better team. And that
Yeah.
was even a conversation, right? And clearly it's the Celtics. Is there a team that's looking to win a championship?
Yeah.
So sometimes internal growth is the most important thing for an organization, and making the correct little switches here and there. So I say that as a compliment to the Knicks to think about that and just think about internal growth with players. And I don't think the Knicks are going to have a Celtic kind of season next year, but I do think that they'll be better. And I just think if you get the right personnel in place, the right coach in place, and the Knicks don't have Tatum, but things can grow organically, even if on paper it doesn't look as good.
Yeah, no, and that's what the Celtics did, what the Knicks have wanted to do for years. They just kept drafting. All of these guys are homegrown guys that are their big top players, but they also, when they were ready, they pounced and they tried to go for it. And they got Kyrie and Hayward, and they tried to go win a championship with these guys, and it didn't work out. Hayward broke his leg, and then Kyrie, we know what happened, but then they were able to reset because they still had their core guys of Tatum, Smart, and Brown. And they're able to, and Williams, and they're able to just continue to grow and continue to tread water and try to add pieces and build their team. And that's the dream. I mean, the Celtics might not win a championship this year, but they're going to continue to knock at the door all the time until, they might go out and get another star next year. Who knows what's going to happen, but they're in the right place. And, and that's what's happening. What's the Sixers score? I saw you look down. What happened?
Yeah, sorry. I was like, I just wanted to take a peek.
I saw you look down.
And I think as people are listening to this game will be over.
Yeah,
but it's 95-95 going into overtime, and it was. I'm just on the game tracker here. Well, now it moved over the Nets, but it looks.
I was hoping Harden 3-0 and up 3-0, and Nets down 2-0. That's amazing.
Well, I think the nightmare for Net fans is the Sixers. I mean, this crazy is we'll go down this road once the Nets lose, but I think you have to root for the Bucks.
Oh, if you're out of it,
yeah, I think it's the Bucks.
You can't. Sixers are public enemy number one for the.
And you can't do the Celtics.
No, you can't.
It would be Bucks, and I think the Heat, which is awful.
You just can't root for anybody.
Celtics,
pick a West team. Yeah, pick a West team. Root for them.
Yeah, it sucks. Tonight sucked. Tonight was a bad night for Net fans. Tonight was a bad night. I've never seen Durant play that bad as a Net. That was the worst he played. Wild. I mean, I've never seen it either. And I give credit to Boston too. They did a great job on him, and he could never get going. They were physical with him, and he just couldn't get to his spots. And I think that was the worst game I've seen.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was hard. They had him, man. It was the Jordan rules, man. But it's scary as a Nets fan, not for me, but scary as a Nets fan, where it's like. Is Durant turning into what LeBron is now, where he's going to put up amazing stats in the regular season, but he's not going to win anything anymore? Is that what he's turning into? I know it's too early to say. He's still obviously younger than LeBron, but are we getting to that point where he's still putting up buckets and he's still putting up numbers, not buckets, but he's getting buckets, but he's not winning anymore because it's what?
When did I start co-hosting with Nick Wright? What was that about? I mean,
how is that not a legit comparison? How is that not a legit comparison? They're both some of the best players ever, and LeBron is still putting up big numbers. He's just not winning anymore, and Durant's putting up big numbers, and they're the 7th seed. I mean, what's the what's
I get you. I won't. You're right, but it just sounded very like. Let's have is Kevin Durant?
I'm not saying
torn? Is Kevin?
No,
Durant
I'm not talking about legacies.
Is he only a regular season player? I mean, he was so. Look at okay. Let me say this: last year versus the Celtics, what did the Nets do? They crushed them.
They lost. Yeah, they won. Because they were hurt. Because Jaylen Brown.
But they crushed the Celtics.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then versus
Jaylen Brown
Bucks,
was out though. Yes.
Then versus the Bucks, Kyrie went out. The Nets were up 2-0. Kyrie got hurt. Harden got hurt, and he carried them. Okay, so
I carried them to losing though. They lost.
Yes, Alex. If he did everything he could in that series, where
He
he had
did.
he had
He did.
nobody with him. Okay, with a shell of
Against
Harden
Giannis.
and
Yes,
Kyrie versus the eventual champions. It was a shoe size that couldn't get him over the hump. And yeah, that's part of it. That's what happened. The Nets didn't
Well,
win.
yeah, and an air ball. It was a shoe size and then an air ball.
And they weren't good enough.
Overtime.
But the guy was but my point is he put up numbers with a roster that was depleted, and they almost beat the eventual champions. And he just had an awful one game versus the Celtics. I think is a leap to go down that road because there's not enough there. He was amazing he was amazing. Yes,
I'm not saying he's there yet,
but he was okay. Well, he's not there yet. But
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm saying could he be on that way? Because now that's last year, and now if they're out of it this year in the first round, then last year is now 2 years ago, and now he's even older, and then your window's closing even more. Like that's what I'm saying. You had to win. You got to win right away. Like,
of course. That's why it's so disappointing. That's why it's so disappointing. Yes, that's why it's so disappointing. I'm in my window, right?
Yes.
Like I'm in my window. Right
At least you have
here.
a window.
I'm in
There's
it.
your window right there. It's right there.
I mean, your team's in a fucking glass box house, and you can't get out of it. So
the glass case of emotion.
It. Yeah, and that's it's just the Knicks fans so annoying about that.
I'm annoying. I think you don't like the truth. I think that's what it is. I think
I do like the truth. I
said it may possibly going down that road.
Okay,
I didn't say that.
That's
where he is.
Okay, well that's different.
Okay.
If you want to say
is he going down that road? I don't know if I said possibly, but I said is he going down that road? I wasn't saying this is what he is.
Bad weather fans. Here's Alex.
Episode 200 and if we're on episode 213 and the Nets are losing the first round again, I mean you won't be saying the same thing.
Well, that's 213. That would probably be next year, I think.
Yeah. Well, 100 episodes. No. So
no. That'd be
whatever. We suck at math. Let's do the poll question.
Just do 50. If you just do 52 weeks, that would be around now. So that would be
200. Let's say.
No, it'd be like 160, 168.
We suck. It's 10:40 guys.
It's 50. Never mind. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Did the Mets win? I want to see if the Mets won because I'm upset because I didn't watch any of that game. Oh, they lost 5-2. Okay. Bassett he deserved not deserved, but he was due a loss. Anyway, so weekly Knicks poll question at Knicks Central. Knicks fans, who are you rooting for? The Celtics or the Nets? Mike, who do you think won?
What was the question? I was looking at this.
Who are you rooting for? The Celtics or the Nets?
Who am I rooting for?
Who are Knicks fans rooting for?
They probably wrote the Celtics.
86.1% Celtics.
It's also your Twitter, so it's going to be like.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of Knicks fans that were coming back to me and saying, how can you root for Boston? What's wrong with you? Get off your knees. A lot of people said. I don't really get that, but it's a weird thing to say to somebody. But there was a lot of things like that. But or people like you're on your own with that one. But I don't think I'm on my own with that one. I think the majority, if you really polled, like this was a 10-minute poll. I forgot to do one earlier today, but. If you really polled all of the Knicks fans, I feel that there's 80 to 90% of Knicks fans are hate the Nets and they're rooting for the Celtics. I really do think that. I think it's vast majority. And maybe it's just my opinion. I don't get it. I don't get how you can just look at what the Nets have done the last 3 years, the trash talking, the national media, everything that's gone on over the last 3 years and be like, let's go Nets. Screw Boston. Like, what?
And it is a weird thing to see. And that's why it is weird to see, but I get it. Local New York media be against another New York team so hard.
Right.
Like you wouldn't see, for example, if the Mets were playing the Blue Jays. Like, I don't know. You wouldn't see a Yankee fan be so obsessed with the Mets that they would put on.
Well, I think baseball's a little different.
They would put on a Phillies jersey. Or they'd put, you know what I mean? Like you would never see that.
Right. We root against it. Yeah. But
or a Giants Jets thing.
Actually, Yankees Phillies World Series. There were a lot of Mets fans rooting for the Phillies, which was bizarre. That was weird. But that's even weirder because Yankees and Mets are not in the same division. Nets and Knicks are in the same. We're head to head, like for real.
Right. They should dislike each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another part of it too. That's a good point. Is that they are in the same division and they are, actual rifles or whatever you want to.
By the way, I did not root for the fucking Phillies in that World. By the way, like,
I
how
was just
could-
indifferent on it.
That's
I
Jimmy.
just,
I'm
like,
gonna
get it
root for
over
Jimmy
it.
Rollins. Are you out of your mind? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Yeah, get it over with. Yeah, no, that was like Patriots
just get it
Giants
over with.
Super Bowl. Like, I can't watch this. But I mean, I rooted for the Giants, obviously. But
Yeah, see that exactly.
Yeah.
Like I
because
think
the undefeated, both of them, I did obviously. Just I hate the Patriots. Patriots are probably my number one hated team of all time. At this point.
well, you were high fiving their fans tonight. Oh yeah, Julian Edelman, that's our guy. That's our guy. Vincent Wilfork. Oh yeah, he was the best. Don't you love those commercials where he's grilling meats? That's our guy. Is there? I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, I saw you, Alex, with these people. Like, isn't it funny that people thought we cheated? Belichick's the
Right.
best.
I actually have a Mo Lewis jersey. I should wear it to a Celtics game and I'll get high-fived all over the place. I really do have a Mo Lewis jersey. I still rock the Jets games, but for reasons because I love Mo Lewis. He's one of my favorite players ever, not because of that. And I don't get, he gets a bad rap for that. It's unfair. He made a great play and knocked the quarterback out. And now it's just so stupid. If people like are trash Mo Lewis his whole career because of that one play, then you're just a casual sports fan. Or you're just trying to be funny, it's just stupid. Anyway, Mo Lewis debate.
Give me a break. Yeah, of course. You're doing your job. And 101-100 Sixers up on the Raptors with 26 seconds to go. Let's go to Game Tracker and see who has the ball. It's now tied. Raptors at the line. So Sixers ball with 26 seconds left. I am not doing this podcast with a James Harden game winner to end this. We are not doing that.
Let's end it now. Well, we'll see you. You guys enjoy. I hope the Sixers win.
Do that. I cannot do that.
Just listen to that laugh that I just said over that I just did. if the Harden goes up
anyway, congrats, Alex, to your Celtics. I know you've been a big fan of theirs and you love them. Congrats to your Patriots as well. For making the playoffs this past year. How are your Red Sox?
Screw you.
This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode number 113. Nets losers to the Celtics tonight, 114-107. That means the Celtics are up 2-0 in the series. Game 3 for the Nets is Saturday night in the Barclays Center. And then they got game 4 on Monday. Ben Simmons, possible return Saturday, possible return Thursday. This has been Bad Weather Fans 113. Alex, yeah. See you later.
20-something seconds left, man. We'll see what happens. Have a good one.